Hello, fellas. Welcome to the Reddit Guide channel, where we unveil hidden and mind-blowing Reddit stories. Let's enjoy today's story. Story 1. I, 33 female, do not want my friend's 34 female, legitimately mentally ill wife, 48 female, at my wedding. I am getting married in December, and my partner and I are planning a mid-sized wedding, probably about 75 people, made up of our social, family, and professional circles. I am 33 female. My partner is 34 male. My friend Anna is 34 female. Her wife, Bernice, is 48 female. We are in Canada. Anna is my best friend from university. She is divorced, has 2 kids, and has been married to Bernice for 5 years. Bernice loves Anna, and that is about it. Bernice is happily and consistently unemployed. She has never attended or hosted a social event in anything other than a crop top and a knee-length pencil skirt, and neither fit. Bernice has 2 topics of conversation: alien abductions and the 2008 blockbuster video game Lego Indiana Jones. Attempts to gently guide conversation beyond those topics are futile, unless Bernice believes the person may want to have sex with her. In that case, she suddenly develops the awareness to switch topics and ask them directly. I do not think anyone has ever accepted those offers, likely because of the above, but also because she rarely, if ever, showers or grooms. I have seen this behavior at birthday parties, game nights, bar crawls, grocery stores, and school events. Nobody in Bernice's social circle has ever excluded her. It is probably obvious that Bernice is neurodivergent, but instead of using that as a pathway to improve her relationships and sense of self, she leverages it as proof of how special she is. She is content to exist exactly as she has in the past, and likely will continue to do so. Recently, she began exploring whether she has dissociative identity disorder. That appears to be a dead end. Anna says she's happy. I trust her. She has told me she loves Bernice and intends to stay in the relationship. I respect that. But I cannot be around Bernice for more than 5 minutes, and that severely limits the time I can spend with Anna because Bernice attaches herself to Anna so intensely that it feels like having a third child around. To Anna's credit, she knows I struggle to be around Bernice. She is sad that we cannot socialize well together, but she has never made me feel guilty about it. I love Anna's 2 children. I want them at my wedding. I want Anna there. It would not feel right without her. But imagining Bernice approaching one of my colleagues or friends makes my stomach turn. I am trying to find a tactful way to say, "Your wife will drain the life and energy from my party by monopolizing attention and potentially making my guests uncomfortable." I am considering framing it as a boundary issue, telling Anna that I cannot have Bernice at the event because of how she makes people feel. But is it a cruel double standard to allow other guests to bring a +1 and not Anna? I cannot have Bernice at my wedding. Update 1. We are married now. The wedding was wonderful. Wonderful, but bittersweet. When I spoke with Anna, I focused on concrete experiences with Bernice rather than just my feelings. Anna responded with a thumbs up emoji. We have not spoken since, and I doubt we ever will. Bernice messaged me separately and said something like, "Oh well, I know people think I'm annoying. I thought you would understand." I did not respond. After reflection, I realized much of my friendship with Anna had become rooted in managing the codependence in their relationship. Our dynamic had not resembled our university friendship for a long time. When we stopped speaking, a weight lifted from my chest. So many of the problems Anna brought to me were no longer mine to solve. I loved her. I loved helping her. But the role I played was outsized and bred resentment. This experience has made me reflect on my current friendships, the roles I take on, and how I engage with people's significant others. This friendship was unsalvageable, but it taught me something valuable. Update 2, 2025. 2 years later, I learned through a mutual friend that one of Anna's children is estranged and living with an aunt. Anna is now in a full-time BDSM slave relationship with Bernice that is obvious enough for acquaintances to notice. Bernice also has a partner about 25 years younger than she is, reportedly in a similar dynamic. I have had no contact with any of them. Some clarifications.
Bernice is trans. Plot twist, so am I. My fear of appearing transphobic toward another trans woman with mental health struggles caused me significant anxiety. This was never about excluding someone for being trans. Her clothing choices were inappropriate for events and poorly fitted. She did not shower. I believe asking guests to bathe and follow a basic dress code is reasonable. I attempted to meet Anna privately about the wedding. She refused unless Bernice was included. They shared an email account, making private communication nearly impossible. When I said Bernice weaponized neurodivergence, I meant she explicitly blamed behavior on autism while refusing accountability. There were incidents. She once let my dogs out during a visit and they were lost for most of the day. At a dinner party, she took 4 pieces of roast chicken and critiqued my cooking. She opened an unopened bottle of wine in my kitchen without asking and poured herself a full glass. She discussed explicit kink topics in front of children at a park. I confronted these incidents appropriately. This was not about being mean. I supported Anna financially when needed. I attended her children's events. I provided emotional support. The wedding was simply the breaking point. Bernice was confrontational, loud. She would shout if someone disagreed with her. I could not risk that happening at my wedding. I am allowed to have boundaries. If the wedding hadn't triggered this, something else would have. I recently played Lego Indiana Jones on an old Wii and thought of Anna. I wish things had been different. I do not expect further updates. Let's take some comments. Commenter 1. I feel bad for the second child. It seems like they haven't been able to escape yet. Commenter 2. Given Anna's age, the children are likely not legal adults yet. Commenter 3. Things must be extremely bad for a teenager to flee and go no contact. If Bernice discusses explicit topics in front of strangers' children, I don't even want to imagine what those children were exposed to at home. This is my opinion about the story. This story is not really about a wedding invitation. It's about boundaries that were ignored for years until something important forced a line to be drawn. Losing a longtime friend hurts, but sometimes protecting your peace reveals how heavy a relationship had quietly become. Weddings don't break friendships. Unresolved patterns do.
Story 2. Am I the asshole for telling a pregnant woman she still has to act like an adult? My wife, 27 female, and I, 31 male, live in an apartment building with 1 washer and 1 dryer shared between 12 units. We have lived here for 6 years with almost no issues. We usually do our laundry on Sundays, since most other residents use the machines on different days. Yesterday, around 3 in the afternoon, we checked the laundry room and saw both machines were full, but the cycles had finished. In 6 years, nobody has ever taken more than 30 minutes to retrieve their laundry, so we set a 30-minute timer to check again. We came back, nothing had been touched. We repeated this process for 5 hours. Nothing changed, same loads sitting there. We walked into the communal area and loudly said that somebody needed to come pick up their laundry. Then we set a 5-minute timer to give them one final chance. 5 minutes passed, my wife went into the laundry room and saw that the dryer had been restarted on a half cycle. We assumed the clothes were not fully dry. At that point, we did the math and realized we would be doing laundry until after midnight if we waited any longer. So my wife removed the washer load, placed it neatly on top of the dryer, and started our load to get ahead. As soon as she stepped back into our apartment, I heard someone stomping down the stairs, swearing loudly. I stepped outside and saw a woman in her early 20s who looked surprised to see me. She said, "Whatever asshole started the washer better not have left my clothes on the floor." I told her that was my wife who has been waiting 5 hours for you to move your laundry. "That doesn't mean you can touch my stuff," she replied. I told her other people live in the building and we had all been waiting. She said, "I have been doing one load after another, asshole." I responded that we knew she had not because we had checked repeatedly and nobody had touched the machines until 5 minutes ago. We went back and forth. She called me an asshole 4 or 5 more times. I told her she needed to get her clothes out when they were done. Her laundry was placed neatly on top of the dryer. We did not throw it across the room. Then she suddenly said, "I'm pregnant, you asshole." At that point, I was caught off guard because she did not appear pregnant, and I was fed up with being cursed out outside my own front door by someone who seemed more upset about being called out than about her laundry being moved. I raised my voice and said, "I don't care, you still have to act like an adult. You can't take care of something simple like clothes, and you're about to be responsible for a child. Figure it out." She stopped cursing, she went quiet, tears welled up in her eyes, and she began to cry. She said one final "asshole" before running upstairs. When we returned later to switch our laundry, we saw she had left a note on the dryer that read, "Don't touch my stuff." I know she was wrong about the laundry, but did I go too far with my comment? Edit. Thank you for all the responses. This got much more attention than I expected. A few clarifications based on common questions. There is a sign posted instructing residents to empty the washer and dryer as soon as their clothes are finished. We also receive regular reminder emails from the apartment complex. With multiple buildings, this has occasionally been an issue elsewhere too. Why did we wait 5 hours? 2 reasons. First, it was a slow Sunday. We both had other tasks to handle and were recovering from a nasty illness the week before. We were deep cleaning the apartment and catching up on work. Laundry was not urgent until it became the last thing left to do. Second, about 4 months ago, someone threw another resident's clothes into the trash less than an hour after the cycle ended. That caused a major conflict with the leasing office and a series of policy updates and emails about being good neighbors. We already have separate issues with the leasing office regarding money they owe us, so we did not want to create additional problems by moving someone's clothes unless absolutely necessary. Yes, we pay $2 to wash and $2 to dry. Yes, we know that is expensive. And yes, we are moving soon to a place with our own machines. Why did I step outside the door? Our apartment door is about 8 feet from the laundry room door. Based on the shouting and stomping coming toward our apartment, I assumed she might dump my wife's clothes onto the floor or start pounding on our door. My wife is still feeling worse from being sick, so I made a split-second decision to step outside before the situation escalated. Let's take some comments. Commenter 1. I cannot imagine waiting 5 hours to use a community laundry machine. I would have moved her clothes after an hour and not said a word. Commenter 2. Back when I had to share laundry, if it was done when I showed up, it went on the dryer. I did not play about it. There were 2 washers and 2 dryers for 20 apartments. Keep track or it got moved. Commenter 3. Not the asshole. I am 95% sure she only said she was pregnant to win the argument. Otherwise, she could have said, "I am sorry you've been waiting. I'm pregnant and having a rough day." That would have been the easiest and least stressful way to handle it. She probably forgot her laundry, didn't like being called out, and thought you would instantly feel bad and back down. Personal commentary. Shared laundry situations bring out the worst in people. 5 hours is beyond reasonable, especially with posted rules. The pregnancy comment did not excuse the behavior, but the act like an adult line was definitely the moment the conflict shifted from practical to personal. Still, respect in shared spaces goes both ways, and that was missing long before the shouting started. Story 3. My crazy MAGA coworker flips out when I talk to her 10-year-old daughter about Mulan. I am a 19-year-old female, and I work part-time in childcare at my church with a middle-aged woman I will call Amy. At first, I thought she was very sweet, until her true self started to show. She has a 10-year-old, sheltered, homeschooled daughter who absolutely adores me, I will call her Elle, and I am essentially her only friend. Here are some things I learned about this family when I went over for a play date with Elle. Elle co-sleeps with her parents and does not have a bed of her own. They use reusable cloth toilet paper in the bathroom. They are all vegan, and the house reeks of spoiled vegetables. Elle is not allowed to watch certain movies and shows, for example, Frozen 2, because it contains spirits. Amy is borderline racist. You know, one of those people who thinks they are not because they have friends who are black. But I noticed that kids in our classroom with different ethnicities always got in trouble way more when I was working with Amy, even if it very clearly was not their fault. So yes, kind of weird and kind of nasty. I started distancing myself from her, but again, her daughter loves me, so it was difficult. Anyway, one day at work, Elle asked me who my favorite Disney princess was, and I said it was either Belle or Mulan. She said, "Who is Mulan?"
and I started explaining her story, because Mulan is one of my favorite movies of all time. Amy overheard and pulled me aside, telling me that Elle was not allowed to watch Mulan because it promoted feminist and cultural ideals that she did not want in their household. What? I just kind of laughed and shrugged it off, thinking that was it, until the next morning when I received the following text. Good morning. I just wanted you to know that I absolutely adore you, my name. Our views on political and some social issues are completely opposite, and that is okay. You have been raised a certain way, and I have lived a whole life at this point, so our views and beliefs have been shaped differently. Despite that, none of those beliefs change our salvation status with the Lord, and that is what is most important. Elle is not exposed to a lot of things for good reason, and some might not make sense to you, which again is okay. Just know that although we differ in views on certain things, we love you for you, and not your political or social views. And I am always open to conversations about both, when it is between you and me. Elle does not need to be around for those chats. You are loved. I hope you have an awesome Wednesday. Oh man, I genuinely feel bad for Elle because she's a sweet kid and loves to read just like I did at her age. But she is extremely limited in what forms of media she is allowed to consume, and she is completely homeschooled, so the only information she is getting is from Amy, no outside opinions or other kids to socialize with. She is the only reason why I have not completely cut off contact with my insane coworker. Comments. Commenter 1. One of my coworkers is similar and judged me for taking my kids to daycare and my wife working outside of the house. He is much younger than me, which makes it even weirder. He was homeschooled and it shows. His social ineptitude drives me bananas. He says his wife loves staying home with 4 kids under 10. They are both extremely devout and cannot relate to the real world. Commenter 2. Why are you sitting around while she unfairly punishes non-white kids? That is not maybe racist, that is racist and damaging. Call her out, report her to whoever runs the church, let the parents know. Commenter 3. If the house smells and she's being forced to sleep with her parents, I would wait a few weeks and then contact Child Protective Services. Chances are there's other strange behavior going on as well. Waiting could help avoid suspicion while allowing further monitoring from a distance. Personal commentary. This whole situation feels layered and complicated, especially because an innocent child is in the middle of it. It's one thing for adults to have strong beliefs, but when those beliefs start limiting a child's exposure to the world or affecting how other children are treated, that's when it becomes concerning. At the very least, Elle is lucky to have one safe, kind adult in her life who shows her a little bit of a bigger world.
Story 4. Am I the asshole? My wife and I came home at 3 a.m. and my mother-in-law acted like we were 16 sneaking into the house. My spouse, a 42-year-old female, and I, a 41-year-old male, had plans to go hiking and have dinner with friends. We made our kids, 16-year-old son and 12-year-old daughter, sandwiches for lunch, and we called my spouse's mom and asked her to bring the kids dinner because we would be gone into the evening. We also told the kids we would be out late. We have left our kids at home alone multiple times, and we fully trust them. We just wanted to make sure they had something decent instead of warming something up, which is why we asked my mother-in-law to bring food. Not once did we ask her to stay, nor did we expect her to. We have told her many times that she can stay and watch television since she does not have internet at home if she wants, but she never has to stay. My spouse and I had an amazing day with great friends, and after dinner, they wanted to go back to their place to hang out more. Next thing we knew, it was super late, and we got a call from my mother-in-law asking where we were. We were just about to head home anyway, and told her we would be home soon. Fast forward to arriving home, and my mother-in-law is sitting in the living room of my house, fuming. No television on or anything. I would love to say she was sitting in the dark, but she was not that dramatic. She starts getting angry at us, commenting on what time it is and how our 16-year-old should not be up that late. Side note, we do not let him stay up that late all the time, but trying to manage a 16-year-old is hard enough as it is. Our 12-year-old had already called it a night and was asleep.
Now I am a little upset because I do not like being confronted in my own home and being treated like a child sneaking in. I proceed to tell her she did not have to stay. She was only supposed to bring dinner. She then tells us how disrespectful it is that we did not tell her where we were and why we were coming home so late. Now, if she had said this in a caring tone or even a worried one, this would not be a problem, but this came off in a very angry tone. Even when leaving, she slammed the front door. Now today, she is saying it was not about when we came home, but rather that she was worried and that we did not tell her when we were coming home or where we were. She said, "You said you were going hiking and to dinner." That statement is true. We just went with the flow and added more onto the evening. So are we the assholes for not calling her and telling her we would be late, even though we had no idea she would be staying past bringing them dinner? Comments. Commenter 1. Not the asshole. I do find having the mother-in-law bring food a bit odd. If they are old enough to be left alone, they are old enough to feed themselves, or you could order them food next time. I would also feel strange dropping off food and then just leaving them, though I fully support them being left alone. Just do not involve your mother-in-law next time. She overstepped, but you kind of invited it by involving her. Reply from original poster. Not wrong. We will not make that mistake again. I just thought she would like to see them. We usually order pizza, but my son works at a pizza place now. They can cook if they want. I was trying to save them the trouble. My mother-in-law lives less than 10 minutes away. I figured she would bring them food, hang out for a little while, and then get back to her dogs. Commenter 2. Not the asshole. There are a few things here. You asked if she could feed the children, not babysit. She is perfectly capable of calling or texting you if she is so worried about where you are. Her assumptions about how long you should be out for a hike and dinner are her problem, not yours. She wants to shame you specifically for control, shame you for being out so late, shame you for making her worry, and I'm sure she will insinuate your children were worried too. That is all nonsense because she never once contacted either of you. My advice, both of you need to sit her down and be very clear that her behavior is absolutely unacceptable. Going forward, please do not ask her to bring dinner again. Edit. Thank you for the awards. Reply from original poster. Oh yes, we will not ask her again. Lesson learned. Commenter 3. Not the asshole. Just start randomly texting her throughout the day saying how disappointed you are that she hasn't checked in or told you your location. If she has to tell you where you are, she needs to tell you too. Obviously sarcasm, but my inner pettiness would seriously consider doing something like that. Personal commentary. This feels like one of those situations where boundaries quietly blurred over time and finally snapped. Asking her to drop off dinner probably seemed harmless, but to her it may have signaled involvement or authority that was never intended. At the end of the day though, grown adults should not feel like teenagers sneaking past curfew in their own home, and that tension is worth addressing clearly before it grows into something bigger.
Thanks for staying to the end. If you enjoyed the stories, hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more interesting Reddit stories.